Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Tobin and Leroy here with you. 560 WQAM. Let's get to the road to repeat here on 560 WQAM, which is sponsored by our friends over at Celsius. Hockey fans, don't sit this one out. When it's game time, make Celsius a part of your play and get that energy up. Game day is fueled by Celsius Essential Energy Drinks, the official energy drink of
your Florida Panthers.
Oh, take it easy, dude. You and I Galaxy vibing it up today, dude.
No, we are not.
Oh, what do you got? I don't really see. Oh, you got the cherry cola.
Yeah.
I was looking for that this morning at 7-Eleven. I could not find it.
They don't have it at 7-Eleven.
What? They have everything at 7-Eleven.
No, they don't.
I don't like that.
You gotta get it online at Walmart.
No, I've seen it. I've seen it at gas stations. I've seen it
at certain gas stations. Yeah.
I think I see it at the what is that? An Exxon down over there that I always go to.
Yeah, but it's not connected with 7-Eleven.
No, it's not. But I feel like 7-Eleven usually has every flavor. I feel like that's kind of their hub. Cats win last night. They beat the Ducks 5-2, so they win the home and home.
Who was in net?
Bobrovsky yesterday.
Okay.
I believe Spencer Knight will be in net tonight. They got a big one against the Kings, who are
they trying to pace Bobrovsky a little bit now that they see that Knight is playing well?
You know, they're saying publicly no, Leroy.
But it just seems like he's getting a lot more breaks. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, they got this little sprint until we get to the they'll get a week off for the Four Nations Cups, which Bob will not be in because Russia's not in it. So he'll get a little bit of a break there, but this just happens to be a road trip. Like Maurice said the other day, that we're not going off of our original plans. It just happens to be a road trip that has 2 back-to-backs on it. And so it's going to line up with Bob playing the Ducks, Knight against the Kings, Bob against San Jose, and then Knight will play on Sunday night against Vegas. So I can't say they're saying publicly no, this isn't, but it does happen to be lining up with a situation where it's back-to-backs. They're not going to obviously play a 36-year-old back-to-back nights. That doesn't happen a lot anyway. Right. So they are getting some time for Knight, and Knight's been on fire. So
the decisions made easier.
Yes.
Based on how well Knight's playing is what I'm saying.
Like, Absolutely.
It's no big deal to do it. If he was struggling, then they would have to be a little more, cautious with how they do it. But right. I think he would still do the second night of a back-to-back.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Speaking of struggling, and it was a huge one, was yesterday Sam Bennett scoring for the first time, I think, in 20-plus games. So, obviously that's got to be weighing on him because he's got some money he's trying to earn. And so
contract year?
Yeah, dude.
So question in hockey, because I know it's kind of random, but not really, right? Like you have your scorers, but you have some guys who score a lot, but it's never really, I'm just going to,
Except Reinhardt.
So when it comes to that, and it comes to, playing for a new team or paying a guy, do you take that into consideration? Because scoring goals, there's only a handful of guys that are like, say, Ant-Man. He's going to score 25 a game.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But there's a lot of guys around 20, 30 goals that, things have to kind of go well for them to go more than that.
Yeah, and I think that you also have to come to the realization, like any other championship team, eventually you're going to have to make decisions, right?
Yep.
And they've gotten to a point where they kept Rhino, they kept Verhaeghe. Obviously Barkey and Tkachuk are your pillars. Those are your 2 guys. So it may be inevitable at one point you're going to lose, a key piece, just like they ended up losing Montour last year and some other fringe pieces. But I don't think that they've really had the leg cut out yet of like, one's going to really stink.
They lost the Van Ginkel.
Right.
Right.
Here's Paul Maurice yesterday. This is him speaking to the media after the win over the Ducks.
We give up a shorthanded goal to start the game that I thought we handled that really well. I liked that. But the game took some strange turns in the second period. You get a 5-on-3, you don't score. It became a puck game. We didn't like that. I like the way that we made it 4-2, a forecheck that was more like our game. And I think we had 10 hits through the first 2 periods. So that's not really like our game. Then I really liked our neutral zone defense in the third. So we were hard at the blue line in the neutral zone transition. So winning is never easy. Winning on the road, especially with changing time zones a fair amount here recently. Happy for that. And then probably the biggest thing is you got a couple of guys. Sam Bennett scores a goal, and that confidence starts to come back.
Speaking of Sam Bennett, we spoke earlier about the chemistry that he and Sam Miskevich had. What stood out to you in that regard tonight?
I think he's just a great mentor right now for Mackey. Mackey's playing more Sam Bennett's game than Sam Bennett is, so he's got somebody to, all three of those men will go get the puck, and then they can be physical. And he's got some hands. He can make some plays. I think there's a real good bond being created there. I don't know if I lead the lines straight through the year, but I won't change that right now for sure.
On that, I would say a lot of firepower on that top line. Seems like the chemistry is really coming along as well.
They just some time there. They haven't played much together, and they're all three very, very bright men, really high hockey IQ. They're finding each other, and then the support's good, and I think it's interesting for them. I think, for each one of them to play with two other players that can match their skill level, I think they have fun with it.
You mentioned Bennett, but 5 guys over goal, 11 guys
Yeah.
point. Just how big are those games?
That's good because we haven't been scoring, and no matter what, players want to score goals. So it makes you feel good. So everybody that gets a point tonight gets to leave the rink with a win and a point, and they get a smile on their face.
There you go. Smiles on our face.
He hadn't said 2-1 filthy in a while.
No. No, but yeah, and he's talking there, Maggie Samiskevich, the young 22-year-old. A couple of assists yesterday for him. And yeah, the Panthers do have a couple of these young up-and-comers. Obviously, Lindell's continue to develop and whatnot. But a nice one for them. Tonight, they take on the Kings, who have been, that's going to be a much more formidable foe, who also, oddly enough, the Panthers will take on pretty recently after this road trip. So I don't know what's the NHL doing the whole West Coast, East Coast, home and homes.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of an odd thing. Very, very strange, but a nice one for the Cats. And yes, good for Bob, but also you want to keep it rocking for Spencer Knight tonight, who absolutely has been on fire. National TV tonight for those looking for it. It is on TNT tonight, but you will get it here on 560 WQAM if you want Doug Plagans and the home call tonight. Because I know I do think it's one of these things. I noticed, Leroy, I feel like the hockey fan, they really, really miss when Goldie and Moeller are not on the call. And
Right.
They seem to be very annoyed by the national TV calls. So, maybe you sync it up, you get your Odyssey app out, and you sync it up with Plagans on the television tonight. Maybe that makes you happy. Get your Alexa out. Bloop, bloop.
We got the same thing. We got both of our teams. No local.
No, tomorrow. Correct.
Yeah.
Tomorrow we got Heat on TNT as well, which will be definitely an interesting one. We'll see if Jimmy Butler's still on the team.
Here's the weird thing. That pregame, that's all they're gonna talk about. So before the game even starts, you're gonna get a full load of Chuck.
Definitely.
And a full load of Shaq. And I'll be interested to hear this. At what point is somebody gonna say, he ain't playing like they should pay him $60 million? Because
I think
everybody agrees that, get as much money as you can. I'm not complaining about that.
Chuck's been pretty critical of him. He's like, not only with the money that he's making, but he's like,
he ain't making the money he getting paid this year.
Yeah. So I think Chuck's been pretty critical of it. I think Shaq obviously has the insight into the Pat Riley thing.
Right.
Because he fought Pat Riley, wanted to fist fight Pat Riley. But
Pat Riley also got his ass in shape. So let's be clear.
And got him a ring when the whole Kobe thing was a thing.
Right. Which, look, it's okay to be upset with your coach and your management. Okay. But at the end of the day, if you are a better player and you are more successful because of it, then there was no harm. None whatsoever. Right? Nobody likes a coach that tell them to run more and eat less cheeseburgers and stay and don't go out as much. Nobody likes that people coming in telling you got to have a better, outside of football life. So inside football, the inside this building is better. You don't want to hear that. You getting a lot of money. You don't want to hear that. But at the end, when it's all over and you look back and go, you know what? That was the turning point that got me to get my bleep together. And then I had a longer career. You appreciate it. So Shaq won't admit that, but he will say that Pat, it was his way or the highway, which meant that he did it Pat's way.
Crazy, man. It is a weird situation, but this is from Mark Stein, who still hasn't gotten back to Robbie from the Stein line. He said there was an undeniable vibe in Miami after the Suns trade went down. Butler had taken a notable step nearer to the trade to the Phoenix Suns that the whole league knows that he wants. One source close to the process, close to the process, expressed the belief that a real pathway to the desert is starting to materialize for Butler. However, sources with knowledge of the Suns' thinking insisted to the Stein line that Phoenix made its Tuesday trade with Utah without a specific follow-up move lined up. Another crucial data point a separate source tells the Stein line is that the Suns, as of Tuesday, had still not presented any trade scenarios for Bradley Beal to consider to tell them if he would be willing to waive his no-trade clause. Phoenix remains functionally unable to acquire Butler unless A, Miami or a TBD third team is willing to absorb Beal's contract, B, Beal is willing to lift his no-trade clause to make such a deal happen. A and B remain valid statements no matter how the draft picks Phoenix can amass. So it says, why is Tuesday trade so significant? Simple. The Suns have seemingly little shot at constructing a Butler trade and face a difficult path without doing further meaningful business before the February 6th trade deadline, when they only had one tradable first-round pick in 2031 and one tradable second-round pick. The trade they struck with the Jazz is undeniably costly, but the Suns decided that they do it to increase their optionality, so they agreed to send a 2031 first-round pick with no protections to Utah for 3 first-rounders that will likely be late first-round picks. So there you go. Because, people are saying this is going to have to probably be a 3, maybe 4-team trade. It seemed, I guess the fodder is that Beal would waive his no-trade clause to go to the Bucks.
The Bucks?
Yeah. To go to the Bucks, and then I don't know.
That means that.
Well, it means that he would probably end up with, and Leroy, you better behave if this happens. But it seems like the Heat might end up with Chris Middleton and Bobby Portis if that were to happen. Stop it. Stop it. Do you think the Heat?
Can I just say this? 100 years from now, when they find the body, they're going to wonder what creature it was.
Dude. Take a break. Back after this.
The Panthers here.
This is AJ